What's up, ladies and gentlemen? What is up? You know, let me just fix this fucking table, man. I need this camera to be a little bit closer to me, man. I want you to see as I can be. You know, I had a thought about something that happened when I was young. So you see, at some point, I started to believe the Swedish people. How? Well, I was fooled. That's when I realized that at some point, being a part of a collective that is in Sweden, there are tendencies to get caught in that which is one of the many streams of mass psychosis, which are ongoing together. See it as different roads combined together with different colors, and they all just take you somewhere. And each and every single one of these colors represents something that is faulty in your mind, which is being taken for a ride by somebody who has a ambition to do so. So you see, when I was younger, I used to read on the web. Now I'm grown up in Sweden, so I grew up here. You know, I've been here for all my life. So when I read these people on the web, and they said, you know, all the foreigners continuously hitting us, all the foreigners continuously bullying us, you know, all the foreigners continuously doing X, Y, and Z, I used to actually, you know, believe a little bit of these things. Not that I was, you know, had any personal experience, but how could the Swedes lie? How could they lie? There is no lying. I'm part of the Swedish fucking society. There is no lying. So, but then I started to realize reading these stories on the web. Now, when I was really, really suspicious and I realized these people are actually lying, and not only are they lying, but they are confirming each other. It's a feedback loop mechanism, right? It's when something is missing, like homogeneously, your psyche, there's something that is interrupted, there's something that is not entirely there. At that point, the feedback loop mechanism is very, very fucking strong in relation to how it can actually still function with a certain reinforcement of emotions, of that which are confirmations, which, you see, the feedback loop mechanism, what we do is that we all feedback loop. We perceive. At that point in the mind, we conceive. And round and round we go. Much of it is automated, meaning I'm not saying round and round we go as if we are crazy. No, round and round we go. It is also a feedback loop. It's looping. So I'm not trying to say that we are all crazy or something like that. No, Swedes, they loop a lot. So we need to actually separate ourselves from the loop. And the loop, the feedback loop, is part of just being alive. We perceive and we conceive. That's all there is to it. So I used to read on this fucking website. That's when I realized, oh, wait. A lot of the fucking shit they write about is 100% fucking bullshit. 100% bullshit. All right. So, you see, I lived in a city called Karlstad. I used to work at Valmet. At that point, they were still with their brain-machine interface. They were only doing surveillance. How do I know that? Well, it's like once you've been part of something for a very long time, you start to trace back. Like, I can sense electromagnetic radiation in relation to a brain-machine interface because it's continuously ongoing. At that point, you start to trace back. Like, when did I sense that there is something which is electric, which is continuously monitoring my brain, basically? And that's when I realized they were fucking monitoring me. You see, like I told you, my brain is quite interesting, so they're not monitoring me because I am an agent of a foreign country, or that I work on something that is super secret. No. I worked at Valmet. We produced paper machines. Valmet is a Swedish company, basically. You understand? So there's not too much about it, not too much going on there. But what I realized about the Swedish people on the web is that because of something being very restricted in reality, they found themselves going on the web to create an alternative reality. But the alternative reality, at some point, one must realize either you know that you're lying or you're lying. And it's a big difference. And that's when the feedback loop mechanism and the looping can just... And at some point, somebody who identifies you going will take you on a ride on 7 different colors, on 7 different roads at the same time. You understand? So what happened at that point? So what happened was that I started to realize a lot of the fucking Swedish people don't get... It's like there's something missing in their lives. Okay? It's like there's something missing in their lives. Now, I lived in Karlstad. The monitoring system was ongoing. And I read on the web a bunch of fucking racists here in Sweden, a bunch of Nazis and racists, explaining different experiences with foreigners. The Muslims were not pinpointed. You see, in Sweden, we never pinpointed Muslims until the rest of Europe decided to, let's pinpoint Muslims. At that point, it was just foreigners. Everything about it was just foreigners. Now I noticed that, you see, I lived in Karlstad, many friends. I knew what was going on, who was doing what was being said. I knew everything, right? So at some point I realized these fucking people are just fucking lying. But it was not for the sake of it. You see, it was not like they tried to make a change happen on the web and change perception of people. That is part of it. But there was something much more important. I've always said that consciousness, you have to be careful about consciousness. Because the mind is very easy to trick. So one has to be very, very careful when you read about, when I say researching their consciousness, what these people actually tell you. Because you see, Sweden as a whole is being taken on a ride. At that point, do you really want to trust somebody else telling you what consciousness is? Do you really want researchers to tell you what is what? Do you really want your intelligence network to belong to Putin? Do you really want to pay your money to Trump while also serving Putin at the same time? While also allowing Erdogan to open up your fucking asshole? He opened up his fucking asshole. At that point, you're being taken for a fucking ride. Well, your asshole was fucking open. Sharia law implemented here in Sweden. There is no more fucking you at that point. And that's what connects everything to this situation in Karlstad. At that point in Karlstad, something fucking happened, ladies and gentlemen. Not only did they appear with this monitoring system, that's when they first appeared, I suspected. No, not only that, but people are lying because they needed something. They needed something. Something was missing. All right. So they went on the web and wrote about all these fucking different interactions with foreigners. Now, at some point, I realized the interactions happen in my city also. Swedish people interacting with foreigners, having very, the consequences were always something about them being pissed on. Yeah, for some reason, foreigners like to piss on people, like literally piss, like we urinate on them, for some reason, continuous and constantly urinating on me. They were like the Swedes themselves writing it. They are urinating. You see, I'm ashamed of even saying it so, even though if I am saying it in a context from a Swede, they just write it, shameless. They are famous for that. One of the pathways they go where they don't realize they are taking them for a fucking long ride, being shameless about something. So what happened was that once you realize there are a bunch of fucking liars, because I realized that by confirmation. You see, I know what happens in the city. I know, because I know people. I know exactly what happens in the city. So these people on the web, people that actually live in that city, decided to fantasize. Now, you see, at some point here in Sweden, you must learn something. Okay, I live in that city. I'm an engineer. As you can hear, I speak a lot of truth. Yeah. The Muslim problem is not that fucking big. You gotta fucking relax. The foreign problem is not that fucking big. You gotta fucking relax. So then the question is, why did these young white males write all this fantasy? What is the feedback loop mechanism? You see, it's not only that you're lying and trying to influence. At that point, we're just lying and trying to change the perception of people. We didn't call it influence at that point. But it's something much more important. Mentally, you're able to lie to yourself without realizing you're lying. Yeah, it's as if you're saying that today something happened, but you see, it's not that something happened. It's that you wish for that reaction to happen inside your brain. You long for the reaction, the feedback loop, ladies and gentlemen. It's the conceiving. So for you to conceive, you need to perceive. But if there is no perceiving because there's a lie, you make up the lie. But the conception is still real. You understand? The thought, the result, the response inside the brain is just as real as if you actually took out our big Muslim penises and pissed on these losers, these liars, these murderers, these torturers, this government of ours, the Swedes of ours, who allow this fucking law book to be fundamentally fucking broken by a Muslim. You see, the only fucking time Muslim did something in Sweden, which is actually serious. You see, I don't like to discuss too much about the small problems. The small problems are small problems. But when some Muslim takes your law book and makes fucking Sharia about it, there is no more fucking talk about the Muslim problem. There is a Muslim problem, but this time nobody's talking about it. Everybody's keeping quiet, rationalizing it, having a certain feedback loop manufactured. And that's what's very important about media and what they did. You see, the Swedes are not allowed to change the constitution as that. Not allowed, not allowed. It went very fast. It went with a couple of weeks. Now, we live in the most democratic country in the whole fucking world, okay? Within a couple of weeks, the most democratic government who literally walk out there to all of Sweden's 8 million homogeneous Swedes, the lost souls of our planet, who are literally walking the path of our fucking prophecy, they were told at the same time, while they are competing against each other, once again, all the fucking, we have 8 different parties, 7 I think, just as many colors as the fucking, this multicolored road. It's very ironic sometimes with the Swedes. It's like a randomness that shows different signs, and at some point when we are computers, all of us, we can all blame the fucking Swedes. So you see, what happened at that time, in a couple of weeks, now they're not allowed to do this, it's completely illegal. So not only am I saying that this government is non-legit because of a certain murder attempt, which they're not allowed to do, obviously, but I don't think they're allowed to do what they did. You see, changing your constitution, I think by the constitution, you're not allowed to change it during those conditions, in that way. All these 7 different parties decide to say, let's stop competing, let's go together. Now, for all of Sweden to accept this, you cannot tell them we are changing our constitution the way it is literally perceived. Meaning you're not allowed to perceive and conceive your own fucking thought. You're not allowed to conceive your own thoughts. This is very important. This is why they keep people in an M-Cultura system. It's very important for people not to wake up to the fact that they're using microwave radiation, murdering people, monitoring people, reading their minds, building artificial intelligence, exporting it to other companies in other countries. It's very, very important that nobody is allowed to learn this. Everybody must play around with the fact that there is something else entirely. They are not allowed to think about it. And that's very important. You see, the thought at some point is conditioned. And that's what they did, all 7 of them. You see, at some point, if you continuously are able to condition 8 million homogeneous Swedes, at that point, not everything is just politics. Because you are conditioning them. I read it each and every single day. You're writing bullshit. Everything is just bullshit when you try to just condition the Swedish mind. They're abusing their own people. You see, now, let's go back a little bit to Karlstad. Okay, so a lot of people wrote a bunch of lies because they needed a feedback loop to conceive something they are seeking. So they are seekers. This Aryan, they are seekers. But the Aryan, you see, at some point, they even fuck with their own selves. They even fuck with their own minds. In Karlstad, they were seeking something, writing a bunch of laws, having that conception of the feedback loop to actually generate something in the mind. You see, once you generate those sensations, those are real. At that point, if you keep doing it, you know what that means? Well, you must keep doing it. It's like me drinking coffee. At some point, I must do it. It's like me taking a nicotine pouch. At some point, I must do it. It's an addiction. It's a supplementation in life because of a lack of something. Lack of something at some point, that is too big of a question for me to handle. Looking at today, how they behave today, I would say women, first and foremost, women. I don't know what it is. They are not able to handle a woman. If you like, you see, I know ladies. A lot of Swedish ladies tell me the reason why we like foreigners is because the Swedes are pussies. They are pussies. That's all there is to it. So you see, if you go back to NATO, okay. So you see, somebody has learned what the public is doing, because you see, it's not just young males reinforcing. Oh, you have no fucking idea what's going on in Swedish society. Parasitism, ladies and gentlemen, is the greatest threat in Swedish society. Parasitism by the Swedish government themselves. You know that the percentage of people being employed by the Swedish government is the highest in any other country. One of the most well-functioning countries, needing and being forced to employ as many people as they are doing in relation to government. Parasitism is the greatest threat. They always speak of that, but Muslims waste a lot of money in society. I'm a realist. I know, I talk the truth. They have some problems with shootings, with Muslims. Yeah, sure. But that's where we have the police. That's why we have the police. The police just happen to be, once again, pussies. So of course the Muslims are going to dominate the streets. You see, at some point, once a problem happens in the streets, you know what the police, with their classification problem did? You know what they did? They went and deemed those places a no-go zone. Like here, we're not allowed to go there. But you're the fucking police. Don't go and classify places as a no-go zone. You're supposed to say, we must go there zone, not no-go zone. But they're fucking with their own minds because they're pussies. Together, the police force, together formulate that which is the biggest fucking gargantuous, fucking most disgusting fucking cunt upon our planet. And that is the Swedish man, the Aryan, who just has a problem with his classification. That's all I can say. You see, what happened during NATO is something very important, ladies and gentlemen. Something very, very important. That within a couple of weeks, they broke each and every single regulation of what the government is supposed to do and be. 7 competitors coming together to formulate a certain idea. The idea not reacting in relation to what people ought to have said or should be saying or have the right to say in relation to that question. Making a decision happen. At that point, a real problem happened. Just like the parasite in Swedish government is the real problem. Just like the virus makers in Swedish psychology are the real problem. I realized you've all just been lying. You see, they're pussies. They lie. You see, a lot of Swedish ladies tell me they're all fucking lying. all these Swedish males who roam around the fucking streets or influencers or whatnot, they're all fucking lying. You see, it's something that is missing and is being fulfilled by making up stories. They make up stories, they make up opinion. They want to become part of something. And today, it's very popular to say Muslims are a problem. Hey man, what I see in Sweden is not a problem. What I see is that the police are supposed to be out there policing. Instead, the police are engaging in a brain-machine interface trying to fucking murder their own Muslims. You see, the police in Sweden, for me, they murder Muslims, innocent Muslims. Engineers, that's what you do. Those people, I lived in some of those neighborhoods. If you're a man, you can dominate those people to the point where they stop shooting and stop bombing. If you're a man, the biggest cunt upon our planet is not a man. He has a problem with classifications. He has a problem with perception, conception. He has a problem with the feedback loop to the point where he actually starts looping more than the feedback loop requires. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's stimuli. We're supposed to feedback loop. We're supposed to perceive. We're supposed to conceive. We're supposed to think. We should not be ashamed of the feedback loop. What we should do is watch out for those people, the Swedes, who take the feedback loop and make it into a fucking software. Because that's what happens. And that's what to be expected of Sweden in Sweden. Is that you don't do this MK Ultra. You don't destroy your own homogeneous kind. You see, the elite here in Sweden, they have big plans for themselves and for the Swedish people. And that is to make them all into one gargantuous single individual. Give them a couple of attributes and allow them to roam around in Sweden while they parasite on father's treasury. Read about NATO, read about the wasted military, read about Northvolt, read about Volvo, okay? Not only Volvo cars, not Volvo cars, but Volvo trucks. Read about Gothenburg as a fucking city. Go look with your own eyes, use your own eyes to perceive. Go to Gothenburg today, what is going on? Now this is very comical, right? Gothenburg is one of the biggest cities in relation to making climate changes. You know what they are saying? They're saying that within a couple of decades, in the most extreme scenario, we won't be alive. This is the area in propaganda, always very extreme. The city of Gothenburg has been renovating itself, infrastructure, streets, buildings and whatnot. They've been renovating themselves for about 15 years. Still today, they have about 30 to 35 years if everything goes according to plan. Come on, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? We're supposed to die soon from the same people who plan a city and they make plans where death of our planet is supposed to happen simultaneously as we finalize the city. There is something which is at fault in regards to your arguments. They don't synchronize in relation to time. The only thing that is synchronized is his fucking Nazi behavior in front of the whole fucking world. This fucking piece of shit Nazi is using propaganda just like the fucking Nazis did. They're just using it today in Gothenburg in relation to climate change and the rainbow. Look man, I respect everybody's choices. I don't give a fuck, to be honest. But motherfucker, when you make it propaganda, when you make it ideology, you're not standing for it, you're abusing it. You read about the statistics about Swedish people in a certain context and you will read something. There is something missing in here, ladies and gentlemen.